Many times throughout March Madness, I told you here on the video reports that once the tournament was over, these next 6 to 8 weeks, that's when you've got to concentrate and focus on building your bankroll for football. Yeah, I know football doesn't start till the end of August, beginning of September, but it'll be here before you can blink your eyes. This is the time to build that bankroll. And yet I fully acknowledge that many of you even watching this video report, you're not going to bet baseball. You're not going to bet the NBA playoffs, and I'm here to tell you, don't take it personally, but that's foolish. Because I can tell you, me, personally, I've made more money betting baseball in my life than any other sport. And I've been betting it long before I was in this business. I've been betting it since I was in high school. And the NBA playoffs, which I'm going to focus on this report and give you complimentary plays on the Toronto-Orlando and Denver-San Antonio games here in the video report, great opportunity to make money over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Why? Because the postseason is so different than the regular season. So, quick story. When I was a reporter years ago, back in my early 20s, right? After a game, hanging in the concourse, a guy who's a current NBA Hall of Famer, just happened to run into him. I knew him. We're just casually talking. And it was a situation, something came up in conversation. The guy says to me, hey, do you think we possibly get up every single game? It just doesn't happen. And I just took it. It was off the record, and a couple days later, I'm betting a game. And I thought about what he said, and it was like the light bulb went off, and it's like, duh, hold it. This guy I knew then was going to be a Hall of Famer someday. And if he's telling me in the prime of his career, and this is in the 80s, where travel wasn't as intense, right? Salaries weren't as big. There weren't as many teams. And they couldn't get up for every game then. And I'm going, and I'm betting on these teams? That's the problem with the regular season right there in a nutshell. You're gambling on teams where you always have to question, are they motivated to go all out every single night? Hey, that's the problem with the NBA right now. Guys want all the money. They don't want to play all the games. But owners don't want to play less games because where's the money going to come from? The NBA postseason, different animal. You have every team motivated every single night. That is the great equalizer when you're handicapping the games and when you're gambling on the games. You're not worried about the travel situation. Nobody's playing the second of back-to-back games on the road. Nobody's playing a third game in 4 nights. That is the beauty of it all. Years ago, when they had the first round games where there used to be a best of 5, well, that was a farce. Now that they've eliminated that, it's been gone for over a decade. Everything is equalized in the postseason. The other beautiful thing about the NBA postseason is this. You have a different style of basketball. Teams actually try to play defense. Okay, maybe not the Houston Rockets, but listen, 31 out of 32 teams do, right? They try to play defense. And combined with teams that are motivated to play every single game, the other beautiful thing about the postseason is, just like betting baseball, you have consistency through repetition. And what I mean by that is, just like where you have baseball, you have teams playing 6 to 7 days a week, where you have pitchers going every 4th or 5th day, you have 7-game series. So you have patterns that develop, and that makes anything easier. Right? You're not worrying about, hey, the San Antonio Spurs are playing Denver today, but tomorrow they're playing Golden State, and the next 2 days later they're playing LA. No. They got a 7-game series that's going to be played over a period of 12 days. Consistency, repetition. You spot trends. If so-and-so had bad game 1 shooting-wise, bad game 2, consistency, trends develop. That's why the postseason is so easy to make money. And if you don't bet it, it's foolish. So, there's my speech about the NBA postseason. Now, in terms of who's got the big play today, a couple of things you should be aware of. Steve Buden's various crews over the years, 3 of them specifically. The New York crew, and the Cali Cartel, and the other one, the Brooklyn College Boys, but not quite nearly as good as the other two. Those three crews, the past four postseasons, have gone 64-42, and combined $10 bettors have won $10,375. That's wins minus losses minus the vig. Today, the first play, New York crew, 90-65 overall their record the past 6 years. They have a 50-dime play on Orlando, Toronto. You get it for over half price off by using coupon code NYC. The other big play today in the NBA comes from Jack Brangman, who I'm in Vegas right now, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I've worked all night, so I'm beat. He has a 100-dime NBA max wager release. Basketball winner, 100-dimer, number 64 out of 102 and 38 out of 62 overall. On the San Antonio-Denver game, you get it for over half price off. He goes for NBA winner number 36 out of 58, and he's made $10 bettors, a little over $5,400 the past 32 days, over $21,000 over the past 12 and a half months. And again, you get it over half price off by using coupon code JACK. All your other discounts, promos, etc. over on the homepage. I don't want to spend any more time on it. You can read it on the homepage, etc. Let's get to your complimentary plays, and I'll start in the NBA with the late game. I think the Denver-San Antonio series is fascinating. The home team won all 4 games this year. You have Denver, which had the best home record of any team in basketball this season, and 34 home wins, in fact. You had a Spurs team that 16-25 on the road. Denver not only going 34-7 at home this season, but at home, they were third in terms of offensive efficiency, averaging 116 points a game, fifth in defensive efficiency at 105.4 points per game yield. That gives them a net rating of 10.6 points. That's second best in the league. The irony is how poorly they played on the road, where their net rating was minus 2.5 points. So, this is a series which you want to bet them in the series because they're like minus 270 or 280 in the series, but they better not lose any of these games at the Pepsi Center. The bottom line, though, is that Denver went 2-0 at home this year in the series, 5-1 the past 3 years or 4 years combined at the Pepsi Center in the series. They don't have experience in the postseason, but they have superior depth and they have youth. And everybody points out that Paul Popovich, or Greg Popovich has the experience, blah, 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 blah. But Greg Popovich isn't out there playing. LaMarcus Aldridge is. Everybody says, hey, they got LaMarcus Aldridge, they had DeMar DeRozan. Well, DeMar DeRozan hasn't done what when he was with the Toronto Raptors all those years come the postseason. Talk about a guy that was a total failure with the Raptors. That's one of the reasons Toronto, I think, exiled him to San Antonio prior to the season, right? The bottom line is here, I am willing to lay the 5.5 points. Although I do acknowledge, where the Spurs finished the regular season with a flourish, winning 14 of their last 19 games, this was a Denver team that just struggled down the home stretch, winning only 8 of their final 14 games, and in that 14-game stretch, they were 25th in the league offensively. They really managed to hold on only because of their defense, and yet I would rather lay the 5.5 points with Denver in this particular contest. The earlier game, however, is the one that I like a little more. I like Toronto minus 8.5 points at home against Orlando. Now, you have an Orlando team that just finished with a flourish, winning 22 of its final 31 games. But one of those losses happened to be the most recent meeting in Toronto on April 1st, a game in which the Raptors rolled 121-109, a game in which they trailed by 7 after 1. They were down by 11 early in the second, but then in the second quarter, they outscored the Magic 33-16 and never looked back. And it was a game in which some of the big guns for the Raptors didn't exactly have big offensive nights. Leonard and Ibaka only had 15. Gasol had 13. Lowry had 12. A guy, Danny Green, had a season-high 29 points to lead them. But you have a Raptors team that's 32-9 at home. And this is what this Raptors team, a postseason perennial disappointment, this is what they got rid of Dwayne Casey for. This is what they bet their future and mortgaged somewhat their future for, going out and getting Leonard and hoping that he would be happy with them, that hopefully he will re-sign with them. This is what they went out and got him for. This is what they went out and got Gasol for at the trade deadline. They revamped their team. This is what they made these moves for. You got an Orlando Magic team that's making its first postseason appearance, I think, since 2012. It's a young team, a team that has no playoff experience. I'm willing to lay the 8.5 points because I think this is a Toronto team with enough veteran leadership and experience to know that you set the tone in the first game of the postseason, and it's important for them to come out and set that pace here and tone here tonight and hammer Orlando, and I don't think Toronto will have any let-up in this game. So of the two games, I like Toronto more, so the Raptors would be the more favored of the two complementary plays among these two selections today. As for the other two games, Golden State and the Clippers, damned if I know. And listen, the 76ers and the Nets, Joel Embiid, doubtful, right? You know, you take one of the most if not the most dominant post player in the NBA, a guy who is the key to Philadelphia's success, and you're telling me he may not play against a Brooklyn team that is able to shoot the three ball, one of the most efficient three-ball shooting teams, a team that will just dissect Philadelphia's defense with that pick and roll at will? How can you bet the game? I mean, seriously. Oh, yeah, you can go ahead and say, oh, give me Brooklyn plus the points. But then what happens if Embiid decides he's going to play at the last minute? You can't tell. You just can't touch that damn game. I mean, I would not, if you paid me, I wouldn't touch the Brooklyn-Philadelphia game. Just what a debacle that whole series could turn out to be for Philadelphia. Anyway, there's the complimentary plays. I wish you well, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.